Does life come down to only two choices, right or wrong, evil and good, hell and heaven? In today's video, I'm going to try to dive into that topic simply because it's so simple yet so profound. Before we get started, my name is Leo Esquivel. I'm a professional counselor associate here in the state of Texas, and I'm always trying to promote mental health in a way that is simple and practical. And if these type of conversations or topics interest you, please consider subscribing. Now, every month, it always seems like we're celebrating something. We're bringing awareness to some topic. As a professional counselor, some of my favorite months are May and June simply because it is mental health awareness months. The month of May is mental health awareness in general, and the month of June, they try to promote men's mental health. And I strongly believe that mental health awareness is important for everybody. But given that June is aimed at men, I'm going to try to focus on men in this video. However, if you're a woman listening to this, hopefully it still brings some value, and I think it will. Now, it's very important to take a couple of things into consideration. Men and women usually approach different life scenarios or life events a little differently. Men tend to be a little bit more problem solvers. They tend to lean on more black and white thinking, like, hey, this is right, this is wrong. I'm a problem solver. I need to fix it. We're very solution focused type of individuals, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. However, have you ever wondered, does life really come down to just two choices? Is it really just a matter of right and wrong? As a counselor, one of the things that for sure I want my male clients to always partake in is self care. If you've seen any of my videos on self care, you know that self care looks different for everybody. One of the things that I personally do is read my Bible. It really helps me to stay calm, to stay focused, to refill my cup, to gain wisdom in a way that I can apply to my life and hopefully inspire and encourage some of my clients to seek out whatever works for them as well. Today, I read a scripture that really made me think about this good or bad concept. Now, if you're listening to this and you're not religious, just bear with me because I think it could still add some value. The verse that I was reading today that really made me think about this was found in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 19. And this is God saying, "This day I call the heavens and the earth as witnesses against you that I have set before you life and death." As I was processing that scripture, the thing that came to mind was different scenarios that we may face as men. I've noticed that for people that struggle to make decisions or that are constantly overthinking, sometimes it helps to just make the scenario a lot more simplistic. Just bring it down to two choices. Now, I know that in life, there's a lot of gray area. Life is a lot more nuanced than that. There's a lot of cultural influences. There's a lot of complex traumas that happen and conflicting desires that we may have. There's an old folktale that I really like that hones in on this concept of good versus evil. Essentially, it's a grandfather that is sharing with his grandson how inside of each man there is a dark wolf and a white wolf. And these wolves are constantly fighting within us. And the grandchild was asking the grandfather, hey, well, if they're constantly fighting, which wolf wins? Which one is the strongest one? Now, just for reference, the dark wolf is supposed to be the one that has the more forbidden desires like anger, envy, and lust, and all these things, right? And then the white wolf is supposed to be the one that has a lot of joy and peace and love. And basically, they're yin and yang, right? They're complete opposites. And the grandfather tells him that the wolf that always wins the fight is the one that we feed the most. Think about it. If you're feeding a wolf, what it wants is going to get stronger. So you do have that dilemma of good versus evil, the dark wolf, the white wolf, heaven, hell, however you want to frame this. And the picture that I'm trying to present here is the idea of, could life really come down to just two simple choices? Life can come at us really fast. Oftentimes, if fear or anxiety kicks in, we can overcomplicate things and put ourselves in a position where we have to figure everything out right then and there. When I was in high school, I went through a very traumatic experience for me at the time. I actually just started high school. I was a freshman. I was living out in California, and my parents told me that we were moving to Texas. Mind you, this is a time in my life where I thought things were finally coming into place. I actually had a job over that summer working with my dad in the fields, and I had a little bit of money saved up, so I bought a whole new wardrobe. I had some new shoes. I had just made the varsity basketball team. So when my parents told me that we're moving to Texas, I was devastated to say the least. I had never been to Texas. I didn't know what cities were a part of it other than Dallas and San Antonio and Houston, and that's just because I knew the basketball teams. But lo and behold, I did not move anywhere near those big cities. As a matter of fact, I moved into a very small part of Texas that at the time wasn't very popular. And I remember getting here and just thinking, man, life here sucks. It is hot. There's not a lot to do. Like, I don't even want to be here. And I remember one day I realized that I had two choices. Either I accept the fact that I'm in Texas and try to live my life, or I let this move define me, live in denial, live in anger, and for the rest of my life, just be mad at my parents. So once I put on that lens and I started shifting my perspective, things started to change for the better for me. I was still mad that I was living in Texas. However, I started giving into the idea of being a little more friendly with the local folks, right? Talking to the people that were talking to me. I even decided to try out for the basketball team, which I was very blessed to make. I simplified my life in a time where everything was so overwhelming for me. Moving to a new school, losing all my friends, having to start from ground zero was very difficult for me. But I realized that if I could just make the choices a little bit simple, that can help spark the ignition that can lead to other things that will ultimately benefit us. Now, long story short, it has been over 20 years that I moved to Texas, believe it or not. And at this point, it feels like I've been living in Texas my whole life. Now, I still think about California and I try to visit as often as I can. However, sometimes making difficult decisions, even when the odds are against you, can prove to be a big blessing in disguise. So if you got into this point of the video, I'm going to leave you with one question. Can you simplify the choices down to two to start figuring out some things in your life? Maybe if we view life as two choices, it can help alleviate some of the anxiety and stress of having to figure everything out. But along those choices, we may be able to figure out some different detours that can teach us a thing or two about ourselves. And as a byproduct of one of these decisions, it may ultimately help shape who we will become for the rest of our lives. I hope this video made sense. And at the very least, I hope that it encouraged you to just keep going forward. In spite of some of the difficult choices you may be facing in life, keep your head up. It's okay to slow things down and figure out what direction you want to go in your life. Just maintain an open mind. Be willing to learn new things about yourself. And if you can help another man along the way, this world will benefit all from it. Thank you for listening to me. I hope everyone out there has a great month of June. Till next time, Leo, out.